Hello everyone and welcome back to another metal episode of Experience Kills. And we are doing those really bad impressions of metalheads there because we have been looking at Double Kick Heroes by the Headbang Club coming out of France. And this is the most metal action rhythm game I have played since probably like the first Guitar Hero, before everything got really mainstream and you play bloody Billie Eilish on Rock Band now. It's like that. What? Why? It truly exists as an option on Rock Band now as DLC, and the wife made me get it. Of course she did. But there's none of that here in Double Kick Heroes. This is just every kind of rock and metal you can imagine, from surfer rock to heavy metal to theatrical rock. It's brilliant. So this is a brand new take on a rhythm game. I've never quite played one like this. It's sort of hard to describe, so I do recommend checking out the video now, and I'm hopefully going to have made the video in a way so you can hear some of the awesome original music as well playing in the background. But basically, this is a side-scrolling shooter come rhythm game. Yeah, so you have this note track on the bottom, as you can see, and you're hitting that in time with the music to tell your guns where to fire, either on the top track or the bottom track using A or B, and then you have things like the grenade power-ups and other kind of power-ups as the difficulty increases. But that's it, that's the game, and it's a lot of fun, and it's kind of got this wrapper of a story mode around it. It's all post-apocalyptic, lots of different monsters and zombies and creatures to fight. You have this crazy collection of complete lunatics who are the Double Kick Heroes, and they actually have some really good dialogue and funny batonage between them and stuff, and it's really enjoyable for what is a story game in a rhythm game. You wouldn't have thought there'd be much to that, but it's very funny. And then we have this other thing where you have their takes, the Headbangers Club takes on like famous faces from music. There's someone that looks a lot like Marilyn Manson but isn't Marilyn Manson. There's someone that looks a lot like Lars from Metallica but isn't Lars from Metallica, and so on and so forth. And they show up throughout the game as well in this post-apocalyptic setting, and it all works in a really over-the-top way, and it kind of, in a very different way, is a love letter to this type of music and the kind of Brutal Legend style was from Double Fine back in the day. Obviously the gameplay is very different, but it's clear these people love metal and rock and are super into it. So you've got all this original music that they've created as well, wrapped up in this story mode. There's an arcade mode as well, and like score chasing modes, and then you've got this just awesome pixel art. Like, they do a really good job with the visuals on this. It's really evocative and fun and sets a really nice tone that goes very well with the music. And then there's another mode which I can't let you listen to, sadly, due to DMCA takedown stuff, but there's a bunch of guest music artists in here as well from bands that you may or may recognize, some more indie than others, but there's definitely a few tracks in there that stood out to me as ones I knew from the radio and from Spotify and stuff. So that's really cool. There's a good mixture of licensed stuff, there's a good mixture of original stuff. That's Double Kick Heroes. Richard, have you got any questions? I don't really have a lot more to say other than this is a lot of fun, but we'll get into it. Go for it.
Just looks great, doesn't it? You've already mentioned Brutal Legend. My first impression of this was, aesthetically, that looks a bit like Super Time Force. It looks like it's a scrolling shooter / beat 'em up from the trailers. And then you're like, oh no, it's a rhythm action game with music that celebrates rock, like proper rock, like Brutal Legend did. And I just thought it was perfect. I think it looks fantastic. I haven't played it yet, so I'm really looking forward to giving it a go. But you can tell from how it looks how that would feel to play, and I can't wait to have a go. It just looks so much fun, and I love the characterization in it, the graphical style, and some of that music really kicks. Like, it's in the trailer, it's got like almost chiptune music with guitar backing as well. So it just feels like the music fully represents the visual style as well. It's all tied in rather than it just be, vanilla rock tracks in the background of this game. Yeah. Everything's built around that core idea, isn't it? It looks and sounds like a video game, but it's full on rock at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, and they really think about what music on what levels. So, for example, there was a surfer rock style inspired track when they're down at the beach, facing zombies on the beach and crazy zombie sharks and stuff coming at them to surfer rock, which is very funny and very enjoyable. There was some new metal in there as well. There's obviously lots of heavy metal, theatrical rock, like stuff that's inspired by death metal, stuff that's inspired by all kinds of aspects of the genre, all the way across the depth and breadth of rock, which is which is great. And you were talking about how you were excited to play it. Well, I'll get you some good news then, Richard, because at the time of recording, in a few days' time, this game will be part of Game Pass on Xbox. Yes. And I reviewed it on Xbox, so I can already tell you it plays great on Xbox.
Wait.
So you will be able to play, as will many, many, many other people, and it's one of the beauties of that subscription service, that you have these new indie games and not so indie games that show up on their day and date of release. So that's fantastic. I'm really glad that a lot of people are going to be able to check this out, because I think it's a pretty unique experience. So the gameplay is quite tricky, and there's lots of different difficulty options, which is great. So you can really start on easy, and I would recommend starting on the easier side of things, because while it sort of begins quite pedestrian, it actually becomes quite strategic, because the enemies come at you on like different lanes. So they either come at you from the top or the bottom. I mentioned it earlier, so you're hitting either A or B to attack the top or the bottom. But that means you have to kind of keep an eye on both parts of the screen, the note track and where the action is happening, so that you make sure you're dealing damage in the right places. And that means, you might be playing a level where you're doing a lot of A strikes with the occasional B, but then other times you're having to basically 50-50 it or balance it out in other ways. So there's a real strategy to it. And then the other tracks will do things like power up your grenade. So if you've got a lot of enemies or a boss fight, which you'll get in this game as well, you definitely want to make sure you're hitting those power-ups. And then depending on the difficulty, you'll get penalised for missing notes. So I have it on this setting now where if I miss a note, my attacks get reduced down to their minimum effective abilities. So they start off as pistols, and they go through shotguns and cannons and so forth, which you get for hitting notes in order. But if you miss one, bam, you're back down to pistol, which is going to make it a lot harder for you. So it's just quite a challenging experience, So you're going through the story mode. As you're going through the story mode, you're unlocking these stages for arcade mode. There's a real good reason to go through the narrative and experience this wacky story, which I mentioned was really enjoyable. So I definitely think that's worth doing. But there's, like I said, there's all kinds of different score attacks modes and these guests that come on with their music as well. So it's got loads going on here. What I'll tell you, input is very, very good. This is an important thing to bear in mind with a rhythm action game. When I was hitting A, it felt like I was hitting A at the right time to hit that note and get the perfects and in time with the music. So that input was, it felt tuned. And that is very, very important. You can tell these are custom designed track notes and stuff, and track listing for the particular songs. It's not auto-generated or anything like that. And you can tell it's been mapped with care and precision, which is worth mentioning, because sometimes you'll play games like this and you're like, well, that just doesn't work. And it's glaringly obvious that it doesn't work in a kind of a way that feeds back to you in a positive experience. This, though, felt beautiful, felt really, really good. Looks great, plays great, loads of fun, love the music, massive recommendation.
So you mentioned the sort of the visuals run above the track bar.
Yeah.
And you've got to look at both at the same time. Is there a better way that they could have done that, so you could see more what's going on while controlling what's going on at the same time?
Is there a better way? I'm not sure. I don't know. This is obviously they've set out with this concept in mind. Is there a better way of doing it? Not that I can think of off the top of my head. No.
I was just thinking, other rhythm action games, you've got action going on behind the track bar sometimes, and often it's just aesthetic. It's just something nice to look at in the background.
Yes.
That is almost the case here, because really it's just an accompaniment to what you're playing. It's a response to what you're playing, isn't it? So would it have worked better to have overlaid it rather than have it as a separate bit?
I've played some games like that. Elite Beat Agents and stuff come to mind for that sort of thing. But it is, like you said, just an aesthetic. It's not actually gameplay related. So if you were obscuring it with an overlay, I'm not sure it's going to make it clear enough as to what you need to do and when you need to do it. There's actually another level of complexity that you can add to this game if you want, and I haven't done it because it sounded like it would be impossible. You can control the car. So you can control the positioning of the vehicle on the road if you wish. By default, it's set to automatically do that, but you can manually control it. And adding that in there as well, I have no idea how you would do it all at once.
So I suppose that gives you more control over what you're shooting at.
Yes, exactly. It would do, yeah. Which I haven't needed yet. But I've finished most of this, and I've played a lot of this, and I haven't needed to do that, and it kind of scares me, the thought of having to do that. So I'm not sure if I'd recommend that. But if you really, really, really want to test yourself, you can. So by all means, Richard, try that out when it comes to Game Pass. I think it's on the 28th of August.
I'll definitely be giving that a go. I suppose the proof will be in the pudding, but I'm wondering how well I'll be able to play it while appreciating what's going on at the same time, because it's great to look at, and I love watching it in the videos, but it's a bit of a shame that you've got to look away from it to actually play the game sometimes, you know?
Well, that's always the downside of rhythm games, isn't it? Every kind of rhythm game, you want to look at the awesome backgrounds, you know, you want to enjoy the band or whatever if you're playing a rock band game and stuff, and what they look like. But really, if you're playing it, that's for the audience. That's not for you. Yeah. But in this case, you do need to balance it, and I'll be curious to see what you think of this as well when you get a chance to play. But I had a great time. I had a really good time. The music, more than anything, is what really sets this apart. Like it's truly, you can tell, a labour of love, and these small studio, the Headbang Club from France, they are, you know, really they've set the bar quite high with this, and it's always good to see, you know, indie studios doing something different and pushing genres, you know, forwards into the future and stuff. And I think this game is a testament to that, a testament to the love of metal. I threw the horns up. Let's rock. Yeah, so that's been another episode of Experience Kills, and I do hope in this case particularly you've watched the video, though if you haven't been able to watch the video, you can of course listen to this as an audio only production on all good podcast providers, be that Spotify or iTunes. If you want to find out more about what's going on in Experience Kills, or get our hot takes on the crazy video game news that's happening at the moment, please follow us on Twitter at Experience Kills. You can also follow me at DIYE and Richard at Colonel Red. But while you're at it, give us a like and subscribe on the channel. That's really all we care about, to be honest. You know, I don't really care about anything else. I don't want your money. I just want your love. And we are heading towards a big milestone at the moment for subscribers. So it'd be brilliant if you could help us out and get us there. So until next time, I'm gonna just get back onto the metal, I think, Richard, and just rock out for the rest of the day. What about you?
Might do that. Might have a cup of tea though.
I'll have a cup of tea and listen to some heavy metal, the English way, one might say. Yeah. Okay, so until next time, have a good one.
Cheers.